Matson and the Adai Itano program. All new 2018 Kona by Hyundai, available at Cars Plus. IP&E, fueling excellence. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurant, located in Tamuning and Dededo. Always open, always local.
Coming up on Primetime, an agreement calling for peace between the United States and North Korea has been signed. We've got team coverage of this historic event. Plus, hospital leadership responds to harsh allegations made against them during a public hearing held this week. And a proposal has been made to help with the efforts to roll out policies for medicinal marijuana here on the island. Half a day, everybody, and good evening. Thank you for tuning in, because history was made by a pair of world leaders today. For the first time, President Donald Trump of the United States and North Korea's Kim Jong-un met during a summit in Singapore today. Both signed an agreement that Trump described as important and comprehensive.
Trump saying this would start the process of denuclearization, quote, very quickly. Part of the agreement states they have committed to cooperate for the development of new U.S. DPRK relations and for the promotion of peace, prosperity, and security of the Korean Peninsula and of the world. Mola Lenghi has more from today's summit discussion.
President Trump and North Korea's Kim Jong-un met one-on-one for the first time on the island resort of Sentosa in Singapore.
We had a really fantastic meeting, a lot of progress, really very positive. I think better than anybody could have expected.
The two leaders retreated behind closed doors for the historic meeting. For about 40 minutes, the only people in the room with them were their translators.
We're going to have a great discussion, and I think tremendous success. It'll be tremendously successful.
Mr. Trump has said the summit's most crucial moments would come at the beginning.
How long will it take to figure out whether or not they're serious? I said maybe in the first minute.
The White House has repeatedly said its goal is the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, but it's not clear how they'll convince Pyongyang to do that. After their private conversation, Kim and the president sat down with the rest of their delegations for another round of talks. Mr. Trump believes the summit itself is a sign of progress. Beforehand, he tweeted in part, "The fact that I am having a meeting is a major loss for the U.S., say the haters and losers."
Stand by.
You can watch Trump's media briefing on the summit on our Facebook page.
And related to this story, one of Kim Jong-un's closest friends, former NBA superstar and two-time champion Dennis Rodman, also showed up in Singapore during the scheduled summit. The Worm visited Guam last December, just months after the direct threat from North Korea was made towards Guam. It was during his trip to the territory that he offered to be a mediator for the pair of world leaders.
Well, it's always a surprise, right? I'm here, right? And just happened to be here. I'm glad it's happening. After 5 years of waiting to see what's going on, I hope that things turn out to be well for everyone in the world, so that's why I'm here.
In a separate interview, Rodman was emotional over the historic meeting, recalling how his friendship with Kim resulted in death threats. Rodman, though, was reportedly not involved in talks at the summit.
The meeting is welcoming news for Guam Homeland Security. You may remember a direct threat by North Korea to fire ballistic missile toward Guam had all eyes on the territory.
Crystal Paco has more with reaction from Guam's Homeland Security advisor.
It was a back and forth, a war of words that set in motion what would become a scare for those living in Guam. President Trump last August promising then fire and fury should the North strike. Local and military officials quick to act and prepare defense capabilities. But Guam Homeland Security Advisor George Charfris says the summit is proof that the mood has changed between the president and the man Trump once referred to as Rocket Man.
For a while there, I was personally having doubts that it would ever get off. And if you remember, about a year ago, it was almost inconceivable that such a summit would happen. So, it's very, very, very good news. Diplomacy has finally won the day.
Despite the win, Charfris says they are not scaling back on security.
The ultimate goal has always been to denuclearize the Korean Peninsula. That means both sides, north and south. And, hoping and praying that, that brings more stability to this part of the world, this region that we're in. And, that may pay off in other dividends with respect to stabilizing the region, economically and militarily, and maybe that'll hold up the day for terrorism.
He also hopes the meeting will be enough to prevent threats from elsewhere.
It's opening doors, and I'm very, very happy that both sides have come to the table.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Crystal Paco.
Now, the scare from North Korea had many of you responding whether Guam is actually safe.
Carmen Terlai continues our coverage with the new reaction following today's historic events.
Guam once caught in the crossfire.
Scary, and I don't think North Korea would do something about it. I think it's just talk.
Local veteran P. Jesus recalls the moments they learned North Korea directly threatened his home. Security officials then issuing a slew of precautionary measures after news that it would only take 14 minutes for a missile to reach the island from North Korea. Will Williamson had just left for a trip to the States when word of the threat spread across the globe.
It was quite frightening because my children were here and I was back there for about a couple of weeks. And so after I found out that they were fine and everybody on Guam was not shuffling for cover and everything else, it made me feel a little bit more comfortable.
Others like Benny Gogui expressing how Guam should have never been involved.
Yes, of course, because why should we be a target because of what the military and the federal government involves themselves in? We had nothing to do with the Korean War, so why should we suffer the consequences of what they're doing? As so far as trying to bring peace with North Korea and South Korea. That should be between the Koreas, if you ask me.
Fast forward 9 months, and now a meeting between Trump and Kim is proving to offer the one thing many longed for.
I want peace. I need peace. We need peace. The whole world needs peace. That's the way I feel.
I'm kind of relieved. I'm kind of relieved, that they're meeting, and hopefully we'll have peace.
Well, it's better than we've had before. They're finally sitting down at the table of brotherhood.
A discussion those we spoke with hope will progress to finally make America and North Korea allies rather than enemies. Reporting for Guam News Network, I'm Carmen Victoria Terlahi.
Meanwhile, KUAM spoke with Korean business owner Hyun Lee. She has been running Fusion Tavern in Tumon for 10 years. She comments that she's happy to see President Trump and Kim Jong-un coming together. It brings peace to the world. She adds in the future she hopes that we can all work together and stand united.
Now, the president's travels back in America could include a stopover right here on the island.
KUAM's Nick Delgado has more on what we know so far.
President Donald Trump's plane scheduled to leave from Singapore around 9 o'clock our time. You can see the runway at Anderson Air Force Base here behind me. His plane expected to arrive in the early morning hours.
Anderson Air Force Base officials say they are aware of the schedule for President Trump to make a stop in the territory. However, military officials here have directed all questions from the media to the White House. The flight from Singapore is roughly 6 hours long, which means he could be here sometime around 3 o'clock Wednesday morning. At this time, there are no plans for the president to go off base, as his stop is expected to be less than a couple of hours. This would make Trump's first scheduled stop to the territory. During the rhetoric between North Korea last August, he assured Governor Eddie Calvo that he is behind Guam 1,000%. The personal call then bringing relief, as Calvo said he never felt so safe and is confident with him at the helm. The administration today saying there is also no confirmation at this point if the governor or lieutenant governor will meet with Trump. Additionally, the military says there are no plans to allow the media access onto the base during his arrival.
And if all goes as scheduled, the president will leave to Hawaii before going to Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, concluding his trip then at the White House. Reporting for Guam's News Network, Guahu Nick Delgado.
Governor Calvo responded to the events today, stating, quote, in 2013 and again last year, we were the target of missile threats. Today, the promise of peace in the region draws closer and we can breathe easier. Again, the president is expected to hold a press conference regarding what happened today and that historic signing just any minute now, and we will be carrying that on our Facebook page. Well, it was supposed to be a public hearing on a bill to repeal the general sales tax. Instead, the discussion Monday at the legislature was dominated by alarming allegations about mismanagement, deceit, and corruption raised about the hospital's top administrators.
Nestor Lecanto has our next report.
It was Dr. Kozue Shimabukuru's testimony that set the tone. She presented slide after slide describing management failures and an intolerance for any criticism. She is relatively new to GMH and says she is now paying for trying to make things better.
As I became more and more vocal about expressing my difference in my opinions over their inefficient way of running the hospital, the tension and the hostility became tangible. I hated going to work because of it every day, because I knew the hostile environment waited for me.
In January, a joint accrediting commission issued a report that threatens to revoke accreditation. In an oversight hearing, management downplayed the findings, blaming chronic budget shortfalls. GMH and Adelup also stepped up public lobbying for a new sales tax as a dedicated funding source to fix the money woes. But Shimabukuro charges that they deliberately misled senators and management conspired to keep her from public meetings as a way to silence her.
The majority of joint citation was clearly due to leadership issues, and we were not going to be able to hide it. The public deserved to know that. They lied to keep me away, because I told them multiple times, if you guys ask me that questions about Joint Commission, I said I would say what I just said. It is a failure of leadership.
She claims there are deficiencies that could otherwise raise or save money. Some simple, like the lack of coordination over food costs at the cafeteria. Others are multi-million-dollar revenue losses, such as doctors not held accountable for timely charting of procedures.
Insurance company denies any claims after certain times, 90 days, and for Medicaid 1 year. And that's why this delinquent chart, aged chart equals lost revenues. In the States, we never let that happen, never. To the point that we hold the physicians accountable and then suspend their privileges until they complete it within a few days. That is not happening at GMH.
Her estimate of $22 million in non-billings, raising eyebrows among senators who will decide soon whether to go forward with the sales tax. Shimabukuro is not alone. Longtime surgeon Dr. Jerome Landstrom also charged that GMH is run through shadow politics and obscured finances. For example, he says GMH is not billing properly for surgeries.
The facility fee is the lion's share of that. Okay? The daily rate, the OR time, ICU, emergency room, it's a huge number.
He also describes a long-standing systemic mess where physician contracts are handed out through political favoritism and nepotism. Oversight Chairman Senator Dennis Rodriguez.
We really do have to get to the bottom of all these allegations. We can't just let it go, linger out there. Dr. Landstrom says something very interesting, in which I believe that it's a systemic problem.
Rodriguez commissioned a comprehensive study of decades-old problems at the hospital, but it went nowhere.
I felt it was my opinion that you got to take politics out of the hospital. Take the way we've been doing things out. Because it doesn't work.
An oversight hearing is scheduled for June 18. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Meanwhile, hospital officials called a news conference today to respond to Dr. Shimabukuro's allegations. One of the key concerns she raised was a purported $22 million in lost revenue because it was never billed. She cites incomplete or unsubmitted records from doctors. This was disputed by both former medical director Dr. Larry Lizama and Chief Financial Officer Benita Menglotnya.
All the deficiencies of the medical record are included in that $22 million. What is actually not billable because of lack of report. I mean, those are important. Those are critical. So there's some critical elements of the medical records that have to be completed that will translate to finances, but not all of them. Not all the deficiencies of the medical records translate into lost revenue.
We have also held physicians accountable to completing their medical charts. And we have, I'm not supposed to say this, I'm not supposed to do this, but I have delayed their billing. I mean, their payment to them.
Menglotnya estimates the current unbilled amount is about $2 million. Hospital CEO Peter John Camacho says it's also not true that they tried to silence Dr. Shimabukuro by not letting her attend public meetings at the legislature. They are concerned that the allegations may impact the implementation of a sales tax that's earmarked to ease their chronic funding shortfall.
I think her allegations have definitely hurt the hospital because it raises a lot of doubt again, about what we do here and that whether or not we're doing things correctly. And given all the challenges that the community faces, we understand that. We understand that. But it doesn't remove the fact that the hospital, on an average, is short $30 million a year.
He says they fully expect to respond to questions about Shimabukuro's allegations at Monday's oversight hearing.
Well, we are just getting started, everybody. More Guam News headlines when primetime returns. Keep streaming, keep watching. This is KUAM.
There are more ways to experience KUAM News than any other source on Guam. Download the KUAM News app for your Apple or Android device for 24/7 news, sports, videos, weather, streaming with KUAM radio, and important news alerts. And stay connected at home with Guam's first app for Apple TV. All available now from the App Store.
A simple handshake. That's all Jake Calvo needed when he started his company. Today, 80 years later, we like to say thank you to all of you who have taken our hand in trust. Thank you to the dreamers. Thank you to the realists. Thank you to the family-oriented. Thank you to the entrepreneurial. Thank you to those climbing the corporate ladder. And to the ones starting a new life together. Thank you to the traditionalists and the edgy. To the young at heart and the old souls. Thank you to the daring, to the protective, to the practical. Thank you to the hopeful. To all of you from all of us, our deepest, happiest, and infinite thanks.
80 years here for you. 80 years thanks to you. Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust.
A strong economy depends on a strong middle class. Businesses need help to survive in these tough times, and new industries are needed. As your governor, I will propose tax cuts for small businesses. We will streamline government operations to create a more business-friendly environment. We will invest in infrastructure and in our people by expanding opportunities to learn much-needed trades. I'm in to help get us there, and I humbly ask for your vote.
And I approve this message.
At Island Cancer Center, we treat our patients and their families like our family. We have all been touched by cancer, and it is important to feel comfortable and secure under the care of our health professionals. You can count on us for skilled cancer specialists, the most advanced cancer-fighting technology on the island, and a commitment to caring for you or your loved one with compassion, respect, and empathy. Our family, treating your family.
Island Cancer Center, located on Guam Medical Plaza. Visit us at islandcancercenter.com or call 646-3363.
There are more ways to experience Guam via KUAM News, giving you what you want, when you want, and how you want it. From smart devices, Alexa, what's in the news?
Here's your flash briefing.
Over the web, on mobile, on streaming platforms, with immersive, interactive formats, and via social media where it's more than just content, it's conversation. More ways to keep you informed and entertained whenever you want it, wherever you are, on whatever device you're using.
The issue of medicinal marijuana continues to linger despite policy having been approved to legalize the practice.
So, rather than let the wait drag on for authorized vendors to distribute, one senator is proposing that island residents produce it themselves. Chris Barnett reports.
Grow your own buds. For medicinal purposes, that is. That could be the case if Senator Luis Muñoz's marijuana home cultivation bill makes it out of the legislature. According to Senator Muñoz, the bill would provide interim relief for those who continue to wait for medical weed.
Cancer patients that absolutely need it, those are the ones that are suffering.
Guam voters overwhelmingly speaking on medical marijuana and voting yes in 2014.
Over 19,000 people already voted for this to happen, and we're still waiting.
And in February of this year, Governor Eddie Calvo signed rules and regs for medical pot into law. Full implementation of the law, though, lagged because of the lack of an independent testing lab that would oversee medical marijuana grown on Guam.
We were told, okay, pass the rules and regs and investors will flock.
We were hoping that people who had offered a lab or services for a lab would come to the table, and we haven't seen any yet.
Muñoz says her bill would allow qualified, certified patients to grow their own.
Right now, we're looking at three 3 flowering plants and 6 mature plants.
Rodriguez telling KUAM News he won't roadblock Munia's bill even if he has reservations about it.
I've never supported home cultivation, but I do understand why, that the move to try to get that forward.
But Rodriguez feels there may still be another way to get medical weed off the ground, and it doesn't involve homegrown buds.
A compromise could be remove the lab requirement, but have it grown in a controlled environment where the government, public health, can still oversee whoever it is that we task to do it, and that's where patients can be getting these their marijuana.
Munia said she's trying to get the support her bill needs so it doesn't go up in smoke.
What I don't want to do is introduce a bill that won't be passed.
Munia plans to introduce the bill this week. For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
In other news, visits from presidential candidates to UOG are in full swing, and although it's Dr. Thomas Christ's first time to the island, he says he fits the criteria as required by law that the UOG president had substantial knowledge of the island's people and her culture. Attending high school in the U.S. Virgin Islands and studying Caribbean literature, he notes the similarities across the different island communities.
Students in their 30s, the things that I think I might be able to bring are a deep appreciation for islands and island culture. So my own academic interest is the island communities of the Caribbean, and so that understanding, I think, helps me to comprehend issues in Guam. And I expect
Dr. Christ is a professor of English literature and has 22 years of experience, which he highlights as military experience as a plus to communicate with Guam's military bases and increase veteran students. The other candidate, Dr. Anita Borja Enriquez, met with students, faculty, and alumni Tuesday afternoon.
The University of Guam, in the meantime, is making a push to get its $32.4 million fiscal year 2019 budget request approved. That's just for general operations. Interim President Dr. Robert Underwood spoke to senators during their budget hearing about the need to change how the university gets money. Ultimately, he says they do not want to shortchange education provided to students.
For the past 3 years, we have been regularly shortchanged in the allotment schedule, even in the midst of announced surpluses. It is more than disappointing. It is disruptive to our planning and operations.
It's Underwood's final budget presentation for UOG. He also suggested senators pass an administrative provision to prohibit a differential allotment schedule of more than 10% for budgeted amounts unless legislative authority is granted.
Well, GCC met with senators talking about their budget as the legislature praised the administration at the Guam Community College for 17 years of clean audits. Yet due to the fiscal realignment plan, President Mary Okada says her organization is seeking a reduction in their budget by 15%, coming out to $5 million less than last fiscal year and more than 10% cuts across Gov Guam. The speaker says, "I am at a loss of words, though we try to find ways to shield these programs. We have not found a way to make it stick." President Okada agreed finding a solution could help GCC, but in her own words, it's about expanding the funding base for the whole island.
In D18 news, the gubernatorial team of Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio and former Senator Tony Atta have officially thrown their hat into the election game for Adaloop. They were joined by family and supporters at the Guam Election Commission as they filed for candidacy. Tenorio and Atta are the fourth team to file their paperwork with the GEC. Frank Uggan Jr. and Alicia Limtiaco, Lulian Guerrero and Josh Tenorio, as well as Carl Gutierrez and Fred Berdalio have since filed. That leaves one team left, Dennis Rodriguez Jr. and Dave Cruz, who have yet to file, but his campaign tells KUAM they plan to do so later this week.
Please stay tuned. Sports is up next.
Super Sale event. Enjoy huge savings on our most popular Samsung Galaxy smartphones. But this offer won't last long. So drop into a GTA store today.
It's a celebration at Cars Plus in Mighty. And during our Jeep Celebration event, you'll save thousands on every new Jeep in stock, like a new 2018 Compass. Save up to $3,750. Or save up to $4,000 on a new 2018 Cherokee. How about a new Renegade? Save up to $6,000. Plus, buy today and receive a Cars Plus value card, where you get 21 cents off per gallon at all Shell stations. Hurry in for our Jeep Celebration event, going on now at Cars Plus in Mighty. Cars Plus, driven by you.
Where will your sip take you?
You're gonna need more than an oil change. Okay.
Try our new slushies at McDonald's. Tropic Twist, Blue Raspberry, and Cherry Limeade. Perfect for summer for a limited time.
KUAM Sports is presented by Triple J.
Dave Delgado here for KUAM Sports, brought to you by Triple J. We get the show started tonight with footage from the Agana pool from the 42nd Annual Special Olympics Aquatics event. Check it out. Over 60 athletes took part in the 42nd Annual Special Olympics Aquatics event held at the Agana pool. After 8 weeks of training for 2 hours a day every Saturday, all of their hard work was showcased in a variety of events. Swimmers as young as 8 to as old as 52 competed for the fastest time in 67 heats. There were breaks in between heats to award medals to all of these Special Olympic athletes.
It's a community-based program. As you know, everyone here today are volunteers, comprised of people from different sectors of our community. Our military families and brothers and sisters in uniform, they're out here today, and they hold different positions, from coaching to board members of Special Olympics, to barbecuing, as well as food preparation.
Military personnel came out in full force helping with setting up and breaking down. The Air Force, Navy, Marines, Army, Coast Guard, Reserves, as well as the Guam National Guard, all assisted with this year's aquatics event.
This started back probably last year. As you know, we've been part of the community for over 50 years, and so what we wanted to do is really take it a step further. So this is part of our Team Up for Good initiative, which is all part of just giving back. And at GTA, we value the community, and we just know that in order for us to continue to do well, we really have to give back to the community.
This is one of 4 events a year Special Olympics Guam puts together for athletes on island. A big thank you goes out to all the coaches, volunteers, parents, and island community for coming together for a great cause.
Everyone that competes today will walk away a winner. They may not be all gold medalists, but they'll be silver and bronze.
2018 GYBA Drug-Free Youth Basketball League played last night at the Guam Sports Complex. Girls U18 Division, Crusaders and Sharks hitting the court. Sharks inbounding the ball. Kayla Camacho worked her way towards the corner and hits for 2 points. All net on the corner J. Crusaders maintain a slim lead in the second half. Caitlin looking to drive to the rim. Bounce pass to Kylie Miller, who almost loses possession. Dumps it off to Haley Benez for the shot inside the paint. Benez with another bucket, taking it to the rack after seeing an opening. Crusaders get the win 23-18. Haley Benez led the way with 12 points. Kayla Camacho scored 9 in her team's losing effort. In the later game, it was the Yellow Jackets picking up the win over the Warriors 27-24. Danica Cabrera put up 8 points in the win. Janelise Quintanilla put up 8 for the Warriors in the loss. Gregory Borja and Dominic Usan claimed their first titles of the year during the Pinpoint Guam King and Prince of the Lanes monthly championship held at the Central Lanes Bowling Center. Borja beat out Noah Timeglow in the semis 204-193 and then defeated RJ Santos in the finals 206-153. Dominic Usan led the Prince field after 4 games, edging 6-seed Ben Manabusin in the semifinals 190-188 before pulling off the win over 4th-seed Keone Afugui in the finals. Well, that's going to do it for sports. We're back right after this.
We're celebrating our 135th anniversary today, both in the outlying regions on which we hub and also here in Guam itself. It means so much to our team here in Guam. It means a lot to us in the Matson management team, because what it says is we're here to stay. It's a real physical manifestation of our commitment to this region. It's so important that we hire locally, we develop talent locally, we train locally. What's been a wonderful addition to our approach there is that many of the people who started off in Guam have gone off into significant leadership roles elsewhere in the company.
This is our headquarters here in Guam in Micronesia. And when we talk about putting down our roots, it's not just doing business, it's about everything we do with our friends, our customers, and our employees. I believe that nobody can replicate what we do, and that's why we have such a great team and such a great service and why we're successful. This is our home, this is our life, and we're happy to make a difference in everyone else's life.
In this divided world, there are still things that unite us. Great music, thrilling games, and the love for that perfect burger. Ruby Tuesday Guam, for the love of burgers menu. For a limited time, get an amazing burger for just $11.99. Lunchtime at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
When you purchase a vehicle from our dealerships, we give back to the American Cancer Society and Guam Cancer Care. With your help, together, we've raised over $400,000, giving local cancer patients a gift of more anniversaries, more birthdays, more years, more days. Together, we're giving them the gift of time. Triple J, customers first.
Time to blow. All right, everybody, it is time to induct some new members into tonight's Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club. It is time to blow out the candles for the following Guamanians, the newest members of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club. Angela May Tupacio, happy birthday to you. Also, happy birthday to John Allen Lujan Flores, who blows out the candles today. And happy belated birthday wishes tonight to Mary Jolene Regis Perez. Happy birthday to everyone.
Prime Minister.
All right, everybody, that is Sabrina listening to the news conference that is going on with President Trump on the possibility that he may be visiting the island right now, also recapping the events of what has been a historic summit today.
Right, make sure to catch that right now on our Facebook page.
Closed captioning is brought to you by IT&E. Health, home, and lifestyle.